Pretty Rhythm Rainbow Live follows 7 girls struggling to balance their own needs with their family's desires. It's about the true cost of happiness for both children and their parents. With a cast of adolescents, each girl is slowly becoming an individual. But what do they owe to their family, and whose happiness comes first? The overall message is that love takes sacrifice, and that our ability to love is what makes us human. Let's talk about family, friendship, and the nature of happiness. Our story starts with a singing girl on a rainbow bridge. The bridge breaks and she falls down to earth. In her wake, she leaves a chain of 7 rainbows in the sky. Meet Ayase Naru, a tiny girl with big dreams. She can see the color of music and dreams of becoming a tall, mature lady. At school, she meets Ito, an aggressive loner, and An, the peppy leader of the Prism Show Club. All 3 witnessed the rainbow chain, a sign that they're already connected. But for now, Naru needs a job. She applies to run a new fashion store and finds a magical egg on the way. This egg hatches into Lovelin and the two go to the interview. Here we meet Renjoji Bell, the embodiment of Naru's dream, a tall redhead with 2 lackeys, the playful Wakana and the shy Otoha. Naru and Bell are the final candidates, and the difference is clear. While Naru is merely having fun, Bell is prepared to dominate. The final round comes down to a prism show, which is a magical ice skating concert. While Naru wasn't prepared, Lovelin turns into an outfit, and the two dance to the color of the music. Halfway through, she performs a prism live, a brand new technique that brings out the girl from the start, Rin. After this legendary feat, Naru is hired immediately, her first step toward her dream. The Prism Show is the fictional sport of Pretty Rhythm. Naru got the job with one, so we should probably explain it. The primary measure of skill is the Prism Jump, which is an axel jump with special effects. The more you do, the better. While Naru didn't do one, the mystery girl did 4, meeting the current world record. What Naru did was a Prism Live. Her mascot turned into a guitar, and she jammed out on stage. While the Prism Jump is a measure of skill, the Prism Live is subjective. This is why it's such a big deal. It's not clear if Naru really deserved to win. After all, it was Rin who did 4 Prism Jumps. Up until now, only one other person had done that, the reigning Prism Queen, Amu Jun. She is everything Naru wants to be. She's tall, mature, and runs an even better fashion store, Dear Crown, while Naru is stuck running the up-and-coming Prism Stone. That's about everything you need to know from the first episode. Every character is introduced, and we have a good sense of where they are. While Naru's an amateur, Belle is a rising star, and June towers over them. But you might have noticed that this is a story about rainbows. Rin, An, Ito, Naru, Belle, Otaha, and Wakana. So it's curious that June doesn't appear in person. As Prism Stone's manager, Naru has to find staff, one to make snacks and one to do makeup. This brings us to An, who works at her family's senbei store. Her true desire is to make sweets, but her dad won't have any of it. One day, after a slow shift, she ditches work to go to the Sweets Expo. Here, she meets Naru. She shares some of her worries, but soon has to rush home, and on the way, meets her own little mascot, Popun. By reaching for her own dreams, she is rewarded. An takes the critter home, but her parents are rightfully pissed about an animal in a food store, so they chase it out and An follows it back to Prism Stone. Turns out the mascots know each other. She steps in to help Naru, and it's time for her interview. Popun turns into a dress, then into drumsticks, allowing An to do a Prism Live. Her drumming motion is quite similar to flipping senbei, showing she still carries that with her. Unlike Naru, An does 2 Prism Jumps in her audition. The owner likes it, so she gets the job. Now all Naru needs is a makeup artist. Ito is a lone rocker who goes by the name Cross. She switches from cool to hot on a whim and plays guitar at her dad's live house. With his personality, we do have to ask, what's going on at home? As a kid, she was part of her family's band named Crossroads. Her mom came up with the name since crossroads are a place of both meeting and parting. Ito's own name means string, and her mom explains that she's the string between her and her dad. So when her parents divorced, Ito took it quite personally. She started going by Cross and made it her life's mission to fix that. Step 1, get her dad's guitar back. While he's currently a drunk who sleeps in all day, he used to be pretty famous. Before Crossroads, he was a part of Lucky Star, a band so famous that his guitar is currently on sale for 3 million yen. While she can't afford it now, she promises to save up, and that's when she meets Kurun, her own little mascot. Kurun meets up with its friends, and this convinces her to work at Prism Stone. Kurun turns into an outfit, and then into a keyboard for her Prism Live. Despite her love for the guitar, Ito's great at the piano, just like her mom. Naru's dad also played guitar, so it's interesting that each character has an instrument that relates to their home life in some way. Just like An, she does 2 prism jumps, with her second one being Jewel Spin Cross, a sharp barrier that keeps everyone out. With that, Prism Stone is fully staffed and ready to launch. Now is a good time to bring up the other characters. First, there's Rin. She's the quiet girl who did 4 prism jumps. She doesn't have any memories, but she can hear the rainbow song, just like Naru. To help her recover her state of mind, she moves in with Naru's family and the two live as sisters. Momo is the shop's owner and is secretly a mascot herself. She also has a very cursed but canon relationship with DJ Ku, who sets up the music. Each aspect of the Prism show adds to Rainbow Live's themes, so while the girls' Prism jumps express their personality, the music represents their relationships. For Prism Stone's Easter show, Naru seeks out her very own song. An and Ito already have one, so she turns to the mysterious boy who plays guitar. When she first heard him play, she was submerged in the song's sad color, but underneath, there was something warm and inviting. This boy is Mihama Koji. He's a disgraced songwriter from the prestigious Edel Rose. That's the school Bell, Wakana, and Otoha go to. When Naru asks him for a song, he's pretty offended, because a song is something personal. Sharing that with someone is like sharing your soul. Koji shared his soul once. Back when he was at Edel Rose, Koji was an unappreciated songwriter. That's until he met Hiro, the best student at the academy. Hiro could see Koji's greatness, and soon the two were paired up. The school decided to debut them as a unit. Koji wrote them a song, but during the press tour, Hiro took all the credit. Feeling betrayed, Koji left the academy. To gain Koji's trust, Naru will have to share something of herself with him. And while she can't write music, she can write stories, just like her parents. So what kind of story does Naru tell him? The Ugly Duckling Girl tells of a lonely gray duck with no friends. The ugly duck cries so much that its tears form a spring. As the duck sinks deeper into its own tears, a miraculous light shines into the water. The duck swims to the surface and sees a large peacock spreading its wings. Inspired by this, the duckling takes flight and turns into a white swan. This is a story of suffering, salvation, and rebirth. Now, where have we seen a peacock? Rin's fourth prism jump is called Flapping Rainbow Tail. It's a peacock's tail. While she has no memories, the story drops a hint that she's here to save us. But from who? Naru's story inspires Koji, and he agrees to write her a song. The two are now a little closer. Next up, we'll cover An's song. Naru invites their parents to the store, and they're all pretty upset by this. An's dad didn't know she was working, and neither did Ito's. In An's case, her dad used to be her biggest fan, but now sees Prism shows and baking as distractions. When he finds out she's working, he kicks her out and she spends the night at Naru's. At Naru's house, An designs her outfit for the show. It's based on the dress her dad bought her for her first Prism show. While her dad doesn't come to see it, he does sneak in near the end. Seeing the dress, he's reminded of his little girl. but that little girl is growing up. He doesn't say she can work there, he just says, "Be home on time so we can watch UFO shows." One thing the two have in common. It's a pretty sweet episode that highlights a realistic dynamic. An's dad is still stubborn, but he's choosing to focus on what they share rather than the two's differences. The song's debut is a big hit, but not everyone's happy about it. Remember Wakana, the green one? She accuses An of stealing her song. This introduces us to the other boys in this story. An got the song from Kazuki, a charismatic street performer. He passed the audition for Edelrose, but didn't bother joining because of its elitism. Kazuki prefers freedom. So An brings Kazuki to defend her, and Wakana brings Hiro, the guy who stole Koji's song. The two dance battle over the song, but Koji shows up at the last minute. Naru called him in to save the day, which only upsets everyone. There's a lot of characters involved, so let's break this down. Wakana doesn't care about this song. She's only doing this to hurt An. Hiro's only here because he caught whiff that this was one of Koji's songs, so he wants to know who's singing it. When Koji finally appears, there's also renewed interest from Ito and Naru. See, Ito thinks Koji's music sucks, especially that one song he wrote for Naru. But Koji doesn't care. He didn't write it for her. He wrote it for Naru. And that's partially what bothers Ito. It's not about music, it's about their bond. They have something that she and Koji don't share. This tension comes to a head when Hiro asks Koji to sing. If he's willing to share his music, then the song will be An's. This is a pretty good test that highlights everyone's interests. After leaving Edelrose, Koji wouldn't share his songs with anyone. Hiro was shocked that he wrote Naru a song and now wants to see how close they are. Just how far would Koji go for this new girl and her friends? So as soon as Koji starts, Hiro cuts him off. He has his answer. These are Koji's new friends, and he has to face that. He accepts his loss and hands over the song. Seeing Koji share his song with someone else feels like betrayal, not just to him, but to Ito too. She's jealous that Naru could get Koji to sing. Belle is invested in Hiro as well. As the top students at Edelrose, they understand how lonely it gets. When Hiro accepts Koji's new friends, she pulls him in for support. Wakana is upset that she couldn't hurt An, but also that she's so close to Kazuki. In just one scene, we understand where everyone stands platonically and romantically. This is not the wildest case of Rainbow Live using music to communicate relationships, but it is an early scene that shows what this story excels at. Really big scenes where every character gets to shine. The first was the line for the audition where we got to meet everyone, and I think this is what makes the show so layered. We're dropped into this world where everybody's already got their own life and motivations, which they're balancing with their family's needs. And now that we've explored Prismstone, I think it's time for us to explore the girls of Edelrose. The series' first tournament pits Prismstone against Edelrose's best teams, Ito vs Otoha, An vs Wakana, and Naru vs Belle. On a story level, this is a clash between two perspectives. So far, Naru's team has just been having fun. They're good friends, but their technique is trash. Nobody even knows what a Prism Live is. In contrast, Belle's team has elite training. Their clothing and choreo are perfect. All they care about is the score, but which approach is better for the sport? When Amo June did 4 jumps, she set a bar too high to meet. As a result, Edelrose focused on standardized performances for maximum points. While the girls do well, their shows are emotionally cold, merely a display of technique. The Prismstone girls are these outsiders just doing their own thing. They've never competed and see each other as friends more than rivals. That is not the case at Edelrose. It's a cutthroat academy where might makes right. So that's what this tournament is really about. How do we achieve greatness for ourselves and for the sport? Through friendship or rivalry? Through freedom or form? More importantly, which approach will beat Amo June first? Let's break down every match. Ito's match is up first. Before the tournament, she met Otoha at a concert. Her meek demeanor put her off, so she finds her pretty annoying. Imagine her shock when she loses by a mile. Otoha wins, because unlike Ito, she actually wants to be here. For her teammates, and for Belle, her prince in shining armor. When Otoha first auditioned for Edel Rose, she forgot her shoes, but right ahead of her was Belle, who generously offered a pair. Otoha treasures these shoes and routinely uses them to perform. Otoha's dedication is unmatched, nearly missing her own performance to serve Belle tea. And Ito's loss reflects her lack of dedication to the sport and to her team, because Ito performs for herself. During Naru's Easter show, she plays a loud guitar solo to a crowd of children. Unsurprisingly, it bombs. Before the tournament, her dad had to make her show up. She was planning to fill in for a rock band, but her dad says that anyone could do that. She needed to go where she would be appreciated, doing something only Ito can do. Ito's frustration with Otoha partially comes from recognition. She's just as insecure, but it shows up differently. Otoha nearly misses her turn to serve Belle tea because she wants to feel needed, but Ito feels unwanted. Her songs don't communicate because she doubts anyone would listen. That's why she had to be told to show up. While Ito is shocked by her loss, really, she shouldn't be, because they're opposite ends of the same spectrum. Otoha wants to feel needed, and Ito feels unwanted. The next match is between An and Wakana. While to An this is a petty feud, to Wakana this is personal. Because as children, An taught Wakana how to do prism shows. At the time, she was a shy girl whose father moved a lot for work. As a result, she was used to being ignored at school. But one day, when An saw her lurking, she invited her into the prism show club. Wakana looked up to Anne, but when she left Japan, Anne forgot her. I'm gonna switch between Anne and An. I'll do my best to notice it, but it will keep happening. So how did Wakana come back? Well, that's because of Belle. The two met a bit later. Belle was a lonely girl, scared to take home an imperfect score, a 95. But Wakana helped her cover it up, and the two became fast friends. They got so close that when Wakana said she was moving, Belle begged her to stay. And that's how Wakana is in Japan now. While their friendship had noble beginnings, Belle now sees Wakana as a threat. So when Wakana jokes she might do 3 jumps, Belle warns her not to fail. Before she goes on stage, Wakana makes a prediction. Fortune telling is one of the ways she copes with her lack of control in life. Will her father move away again? Can her and Belle be friends again? Can An remember her old friend? And why is Kazuki cheering her on? Did he forget about her too? There's a lot on her mind, but she gets on stage and starts performing. She does her first jump, and then her second. As she winds up for her third, Belle's words hold her down. She ends the performance, and Belle smiles. An goes on next. She's decided to do 3 jumps to win. An's actually pretty good at prism shows. She leads the club at school for a reason. If she lands a 3rd jump, she might even beat Belle. Unfortunately, she fails the landing, taking a huge cut in points. Belle smiles again, because now victory is hers. An is pretty pissed about failing, but resolves to train even harder. Wakana wins the match, and Prismstone is left lagging behind. The final match is between Naru and Belle, the girl who premiered the Prism Live, and the girl who will inherit Amo Jun's legacy. But why is Belle even performing? Her team is in the lead. She could go home and win the round. Well, this isn't about winning, this is about domination. Belle does 3 jumps to crush Naru, to crush Wakana, to crush An. The stage belongs to her. She alone will inherit Jun's legacy. When Naru gets on stage, she's understandably shaken and can't see the music's color. So, she cries throughout her performance, running past the time limit. But unlike Belle, Naru's not alone. Koji calls out to her, and starts to sing, the very song that they made together. Music is the bridge that connects hearts, and in that moment, Koji colors her world. Naru gets up and performs a brand new Prism live. She even manages to chain jumps. With the crowd's support, she does her third jump, Lovely Rainbow, a symbol of the bridge that Koji drew between their hearts, the bridge between her and the audience. This is what helped Naru do 3 jumps. While Belle can only count on herself, Naru can always depend on others, and that's why she could make it this far. Unfortunately, Naru went way over the time limit, earning 0 points. She may not have won, but the message is clear. If Belle doesn't change soon, Naru will catch up to her. Inspired by the group's camaraderie, the next tournament is all about trios. The chairman liked the Prism Life so much that he made it eligible. This time, the 2 groups will face off on equal ground. The girls at Prismstone start training for their next tournament. While Naru can't jump consistently, it's good that she's training at all. Ito writes a new song for the Prismstone girls, but Koji ends up changing it. Her harsh tone is mellowed out and Ito is pissed. Why did he bother changing it? And even worse, why is it so good now? If their music's good together, then maybe... No, she won't accept it. She scraps the song and leaves the group stranded. At Edo Rose, Belle notices Otoha's new popularity and, feeling threatened, kicks her out of the group. She's taken in by Prismstone and puts on one of their best events. When Belle mocks her for switching sides, Otoha's unfazed. She thanks Belle for coming and moves on. Her growing confidence brings out her very own mascot, one step closer to the Prism Live. Next, we follow Wakana going to Kazuki's festival. She looks down on the street style for its freedom, but Kazuki won't take disrespect. The 2 settle their dispute with a shooting match. Kazuki clears it easily, but on Wakana's turn, she gives up. If she can't control the outcome, then it's pointless. Kazuki notices her fear and encourages her to dance freely. No one is scoring or judging her at the festival, so this is her chance to let loose. And with his encouragement, Wakana does 3 jumps. By letting go of fear, if only a little, Wakana's mascot is born. So, about the mascots. They're called pair friends and transform into outfits and instruments. Without one, you can't do a Prism Live. Each one hatches when the girls act toward their heart's desire. Naru's interview was her first step toward maturity. On ditching work for the Sweets Expo was acting toward her own future. Ito buying that guitar is the first step to fixing her family. Femini was born when Otoha stood up to Belle, the first step to believing in her own worth. And Ethne was born when Wakana let go of Belle's words, letting go of control and learning to embrace freedom. So what could Belle's desire be? Belle is the daughter of Ritsuren Joji, the lonely housewife of a rich businessman. While her dad is abroad closing deals, her mom is at home managing her. Because Belle is a product. She is the symbol of her parents' success. Belle works hard for her mother's approval, and her mom works hard for her husband's approval. When he comes home, she's proud to share Belle's accomplishments, because she sees them as her own. When Belle does well, they both did well, but when she fails, she's on her own. Because of her upbringing, Belle believes that only winners deserve love, so when she can't do a Prism Live, she doesn't reach out to her friends. The Prism Live is a bridge between hearts, so rejecting the connection will break it. Otoha does hers by returning to Edel Rose, embracing her desire to be with Belle. Her renewed confidence gives her a saxophone, a loud booming instrument. Wakana does one by putting her feud with An aside and accepting her friendship. This gives her mallets for her xylophone, drumming like the girl who taught her Prism shows. So what will it take for Belle to do one? Well, first, she'll have to get her mascot. At a Deer Crown party, Belle is tasked with performing for all the guests. When her mom asks if she can do a Prism Live, there's only one correct answer. In order to master the Prism Live, Belle turns everyone away. First Otoha, then Wakana, and finally Hito, her lonely king. Belle has a full-on breakdown when she can't do it alone. She trashes her dressing room and begs Rin for advice, but only an open heart can form the bridge. So when Belle goes on stage, she does what she does best. She jumps. But nothing happens. Belle crashes to the ground and faces her mother's wrath. Ritsu is deeply embarrassed and decides she'll move her daughter to France. This will have been Belle's final Prism show. Late at night, Naru finds Belle alone on a park swing. Between tears, Belle asks Naru how she's so surrounded by love, but Naru reminds her that she's loved too. Her mom might not see her value, but everyone else does, no one more than Otoha and Wakana. On the day of the tournament, Hito drives them to the airport, and here, their words can finally reach her. These girls aren't just her rivals, they're also her friends. She might not have a mascot, they might not even win, but to Otoha and Wakana, their friendship matters more. The love Belle was looking for was by her side all along, if only she would receive it. With their words in her heart, Belle stands up to her mother, asserting her own freedom as a person. She hops in Hito's car and rushes off to the tournament. I know that she's the villain for this arc, but I kind of feel bad for Belle's mom here. She says that she'll have nothing without her, and I fully believe that. She doesn't have any friends, she lives in this big empty house, no job or hobbies like the other parents. Belle's success was her only source of happiness. We'll come back to her later on. The trio rushes backstage and names their unit Belle Rose. With her friend's support and an open heart, Belle does her first Prism Live. But also, she finally does her fourth jump, Infinite Prism Phoenix. The lonely girl has now been reborn. Belle is unburdened and her friend's love will carry her to even greater heights. Happy Rain's conflict is still about their song and it's pretty boring, but let's cover that. Until Ito and Koji get along, they can't use it. Koji changed the song out of love, but Ito saw that help as pity. It's not till Naru explains that Ito and Koji talk, because it's not about music, it's about love. By pushing them to reconcile, Naru loses her own chance with Koji. They now share something that she can't. She cries into Rin's arms as she accepts the outcome. That night, Ito and Koji share their first kiss. The song is theirs to use. Because Happy Rain has better teamwork, they win the tournament with their trio jumps and trio Prism Live. It goes to show that each group has their own strength. What Belle Rose needed was friendship, and what Happy Rain needed was rivalry. Belle accepts her loss with grace and thanks her friends for loving her. With both the Prism Jump and the Prism Live, the girls might finally reach Amo June.
Happy, happy, happy Naru.
Rin's been pretty absent from the video, but with good reason. She's the mysterious girl who fell down to our world. She can do 4 jumps and sense people's emotions. These are all abilities of a Prism Messenger, the alien race that Rin's a part of. It's hard to read Rin because she's such a flat character. She has no roots, no memories, and no human family. There's one more character that we haven't talked about. That girl is Amo June, the reigning Prism Queen and Dear Crown's producer. Amo June is the stuff of legend. Just like Rin, she can chain 4 jumps. She also has no human family. The only person she really talks to is Hijiri, the Prism Show chairman. The two have a lengthy relationship. 4 years ago, Hijiri saw her skating in the snow. She introduced herself and he quickly grew fond of her. At the time, he was prepping for the Prism King Cup and had recently mastered his 4 jump chain. So one night, he called June over to show her. But rumors had spread at Edel Rose and one of his rivals sabotaged the rink. Hijiri had to drop out and his rival took the crown. Following this, June asked Hijiri to train her, and at just 13, she mastered the 4-jump chain. June left Edel Rose for Deer Crown, and Hijiri joined the Prism Show Association. But what about the rival? Who ended Hijiri's career? Well, that would be Jin, Edel Rose's current supervisor. He had plans to use June's glory for the school, but when she left with Hijiri, he lost that chance. Jin has turned Edel Rose into his own personal weapon aimed at June. He's the one who made Hito steal Koji's song. He's also in charge of Belle's career. This is why Edel Rose sucks. In a bid to beat June, he's turned the school into a harsh environment. While Prism Stone's rise is a problem, Jin is happy to use Belle to take out his enemy. But what about June? How does she feel about this? Well, she keeps her cards close, so it's hard to know. After the trio tournament, she announces her return to the stage. But that's not all. Amo June debuts her very own Prism Live, wielding a conductor's baton. Beyond this, June reveals her ability to chain 5 jumps, keeping the world record. Despite the girls' progress, June remains unreachable. For the girls' next tournament, they'll be competing in duos: Naru and Belle, An and Wakana, Ito and Otoha. This kicks off a training arc where each pair will spend a night at the other's house. Let's cover a few of the families we've missed so far. First up, the Morizonos. Futaba was a young delinquent who fell in love with Tadashi, a hard-working man. Futaba loved his focus, and the two soon started a family, Wakana's family. To make each other happy, both fell into their designated roles. Tadashi became the stoic provider, and Futaba became the doting housewife. Tadashi moved across the world for work and dragged his family with him. His daughter didn't speak much, and neither did his wife. One day, Wakana came home and begged him to stay in Japan. He agreed, but in return, expected perfect performance. This put Wakana under great pressure and likely created her need for control. When her dad sees her with Kazuki, he doesn't approve of her new company. Tadashi controls his perfect family, a doting wife, and a child who is seen but not heard. When a transfer is offered again, Tadashi happily accepts, so very soon, Wakana will be moving to Singapore. Her final Prism show is with her childhood friend, An, and Futaba begs Tadashi to see it. Belle and Otoha watch as their friend pours her heart out one last time. The show brings Futaba to tears, but Tadashi is unmoved, and this time, Futaba's had enough. She slaps him in front of all the kids and tells him off. For too long, he sacrificed their happiness for his own. If this is the price of a normal family, then she doesn't want it. From now on, her and Wakana will live freely, and Tadashi will learn to take care of himself. It's a pretty fun conclusion to Wakana's arc. Next up are the Takanashis. Soshi and Otogi work hard to create a dreamy home life, but their marriage took a lot of work. While Soshi was raised in the lap of luxury, Otogi was a working woman. Soshi's parents didn't think she could run a household and keep a job, but Otogi didn't give up. She tried over and over to get her man, and now she has it all: a loving house husband, a beautiful home, and the perfect little daughter, Otoha. Otoha's family is very idyllic, so it's a shame her school life sucked so bad. We don't learn much else, but we do know that she gets her hospitality from her dad. The final family we'll cover are the Suzunos. Gen met Joe at 16. He was a lone teen guitarist who fought with every band he joined. One day, while making noise at a park, Joe walked up to him. Nobody usually listened, but Joe was different. He gave him feedback, and when the two made music, it made sense. Joe could mellow out Gen's music, and together they formed Lucky Star. As they rose to fame, both men found girlfriends. Gen met Tsuru, and Joe met Natsuki. But fame brought its own troubles. The band cracked under pressure, and Gen tried to make it on his own. But without Joe, nothing worked. He went back to getting kicked out of bands. Gen begged Joe to come back, but his wife wouldn't let him. The two had just had Koji. Gen had his own family too. He formed Crossroads with his wife Tsuru and his children Ito and Yu. One night, Gen begged Joe to meet him and discuss Lucky Star. Joe arrived, prepared to turn Gen down for the last time. They got into Gen's car like they used to, but Gen couldn't keep his eyes on the road. Before Joe could turn him down, a lorry crashed into them, ending Joe's life. This is the story of Gen and Joe, Ito and Koji's fathers. Following the accident, Tsuru and Gen got divorced. They couldn't live happily knowing they took Natsuki's chance to do the same. After Joe's death, Natsuki joined Hijiri and June as manager of Deer Crown. So imagine her shock when Gen's daughter fell in love with her son. Not only had Gen taken her husband, but now his daughter would take her son. Natsuki attacks Ito and declares that she must break up with her son. Koji's music, no, his love, will only make everyone miserable. So Koji and Ito will have to break up. The Winter White session finally kicks off with An and Wakana. The duo bonds over their love for Kazuki and put on a great show. Together, they do 4 jumps. They're followed by Ito and Otaha, who also reach 4 jumps. Ito's a bit rattled from her breakup, but Otaha offers support. So far, no one has met June's 5. So now, it's up to Belle and Naru. The two are preparing to go on stage, but there's a problem. June's partner. Right at the end of their training, Rin was announced as Amo June's partner. This shocked the world, but especially Naru. The two had been living together for months now, but suddenly, Rin abandoned her. This causes Loveland to disappear. Belle is pretty sad that she can't help, but reminds Naru that she's not alone. Rin might be gone, but she still has her friends, and Rin probably had her reasons. This is all part of her mission. Before the results, let's examine the final duo, Amo June and Ibara Rin. At the start of the show, both girls are the only people on Earth who consistently do 4 jumps. The two first meet by the full moon, a symbol of lone brilliance. While the girls shine together like the colors of a rainbow, the moon shines alone, and that moon is Amo June. Let's put 2 and 2 together. Amo June is a prism messenger. During one of her first scenes, we see her reaching for a rainbow in front of Hijiri. Given their past, the meaning is obvious. While the other girls have each other, June has no one. All she wants is to be loved by the only person she really has. But Hijiri won't admit it, not as the Prism Show chairman. Their love would destroy both their careers, so June will keep waiting, staying on top of her game so she can keep his attention. This is why Naru and Belle are a threat. Now that they're working together, they might actually overthrow her. Naru's acceptance of Rin's disappearance brought back Loveland, signaling a pivotal step in her maturity. So when the two complete 5 jumps, June is frightened, and now it's up to her and Rin to top that. Prism messengers come to Earth with one mission, to pass down the Prism Sparkle. 5 years ago, June came to give it to Hijiri, but when Jin ended his career, she had to pivot, keeping it to herself. The sparkle is a pretty vague concept, but think of it as the power held by the greatest prism star. By refining the sport, they keep it alive, but it must be passed down or else. When June and Rin get on stage, they're not really performing. This is a duel over who will pass down the sparkle. Whoever wins will absorb the other's body and take the sparkle for themselves. The song 7 Days Love and 7 Days Friend is one of the series' best performances. It got me to watch the show, and I'd recommend that you pause and check it out. Unlike the rest, the two only perform solo jumps, but for their 6th, their combined efforts open up a hole of prism space where they can talk openly. Rin's concerns are simple: Holding on to the sparkle will destroy June's body, killing her with it. But June believes the world isn't ready. She's the only one good enough to keep it. So until they catch up, she won't return to Prism World. But that's not the only reason. For now, Rin and June leave the stage unsatisfied. Despite losing points for solo jumps, they still win the tournament. This feud will be settled at the Prism Queen Cup. Following Belle's loss at the Winter White Cup, Jin takes extreme measures against June. First, he leaks pictures of Hijiri leaving her apartment. This throws her title into question and forces Hijiri to resign as Prism Show chairman. With Hijiri out of the way, he bribes the remaining members and fills the tournament with Edel Rose students. This takes out Happy Rain and June, clearing the path for Belle's victory. These actions prompt Hito to finally speak out. After all, Hito's known of Jin's corruption the longest. As a child, his mother sent him out to play while she would service her clients. On one of these nights, Jin's father scouted him. He got into Edel Rose on scholarship, but was picked on for being the principal's pet. So when Jin took over, he held Hito's career in his hands. Before the betrayal, Koji asked Hito if he wanted to be Prism King, but Hito said no, he didn't want to be a winner. Instead, he would become a hero. This is an important distinction. While a winner takes the trophy, a hero fills others with courage. Jin might have been Prism King, but it's Hijiri who inspires people to improve Prism shows. To save the Prism show, Hito exposes all the corruption at Edel Rose. He calls out Jin, gives Koji song credits, and begs his mother to come home. Even if it costs his career, Hito wants to do the right thing. DJ Koo punches Jin in the face, the second time violence solves something in the show, and Jin's dad finally fires him. This is all partially set up for the Boys spin-off, where he turns out to be Hijiri's brother. There's so much setup I had to cut out because it's not that relevant to the show, but I have seen the Boys spin-off. I don't cover everything I watch, so who knows if it'll come up on the channel. Let's just move on to the Prism Queen Cup. The Prism Queen Cup is the girls' final chance to overthrow June. We find out that the 7 mascots come together to form the Peacock, 7 lights working together to save the world. Because June tied with Rin at the Duo Cup, she got to keep her body, but it's breaking down fast. And all across Japan, people are struggling to put on Prism shows, because the sparkle is dying. So no pressure, right? Otaha's up first. She's pretty nervous, but so is everyone else. In her first and only outburst of the series, she yells at the girls to get it together. As top batter, she plans to set the tone. Otaha skates out and is immediately met with boos. Nobody forgot about the Edel Rose scandal, but that won't distract her. In a show of great strength, Otaha puts on her best show yet, quelling the crowd and performing 5 prism jumps. Her grandparents thank her mom for raising such a strong daughter. Next up is An. She hasn't done much in the show, so we'll just wrap it up. Her grandma shows up to scold her dad and reveal that he used to be a pastry chef. This is a pretty silly reveal and shows just how little they had planned for this character. Her dad didn't want her agonizing over her path like he did. It's something, but it's not very interesting. An performs and then does 5 jumps. So let's get to the meat of this tournament. Ito's lore is so intense that she gets a full episode to resolve it. So remember Lucky Star, the band Ito and Koji's fathers made? Now we find out how Koji's mom felt about it. When Nachan would watch them play, she felt all alone because they were sharing something she couldn't have. She came to hate music, which even Koji hid from her. On the day Joe died, her last words to him were this question: what matters more, your family or Lucky Star? Nachan hated music. She hated Gen. She hated Joe for choosing them instead of her. Natsuki blamed Gen for Joe's death, but really, there were lots of factors. But also, the fact that Joe turned the wheel. This is treated as a big reveal, but I just find it silly. It's so dissonant with the serious themes we're discussing here. The point is, that taking Koji and the Suzuno family's happiness won't make her happy. She'll just tear him away from music like she did to her husband. In fact, Gen's hand wasn't even injured. He just stopped playing in honor of Joe. And so, Natsuki lets Gen play the guitar, not just for himself, but for Joe too. This storyline is probably the most controversial in the franchise. A lot of people found it dramatic and convoluted, but I really like it. I think it's interesting how much they were able to tie up. It's probably the best example of how a parent's happiness should never come at the expense of their child's. Ito and Koji have nothing to do with this. Gen plays guitar, and with that resolved, Ito's finally ready to perform. Her 5 prism jumps explore her emotional journey. She starts out pretty cold and isolated, but soon grows past that. She explores music and piano, just like her mom. She experiences love, and finally, she becomes Cross. The crossroads for Gen and Natsuki, reuniting her own family with Koji's. It's a real full circle moment. Now it's time for Wakana. Her dad comes to see her from Singapore, and he's completely changed. Both her parents apologize for her strict upbringing and encourage her to live freely. That's how you know it's fiction. Her dad apologizes for judging Kazuki and finally willingly watches her prism show. With all this support, Wakana gives it her all, meeting June's record of 6 jumps. But now, she won't hold back, and goes for a 7th. Sadly, she falls to the ground, but that's okay. Her parents are proud, and she has no regrets. She didn't need to read the future or lie about her feelings. She simply let go and did her best. Before her turn, Belle turns to Hito for encouragement. How can a mere human overcome June? Her alien race literally invented prism shows. But Hito tells her that she doesn't have to be perfect, and that she can be reborn as many times as she wants. So with those words, Belle gets on stage, and just like Ito, will break down her jumps. Her first jump is dedicated to her mother. It's not fully resolved, but during the sleepover, Ritsu clarifies that Belle is her treasure, and Belle's first dream was to see her mother smile. I think the dad gets too little blame in this storyline. He's never around, and that leaves Ritsu quite lonely, not to mention Belle unguarded from her mother's cruelty. It's not my favorite resolution, but they really were trying. I just think Ritsu is a lot deeper than the show gives her credit for. Anyway, Passionate Million Rose represents the thorny path to the top, and Dream Kaleidoscope illustrates her loneliness. Her 4th jump, Infinite Phoenix, is her rebirth, and so is the 5th, Rosette Nebula. In the trio performances, this is Belle Rose's main jump, symbolizing her connection to her friends. Belle's 6th jump, Queen's Gate, illustrates her final hurdle. To reach June, Belle will have to go even further. Embracing the loneliness at the top of the world, Belle prepares for her 7th jump. This takes place on a mountain, echoing the words Hito said to her. When he first met her, Belle was a fragile girl, but now she's become a rose so strong that she can bloom anywhere, even at the top of the coldest mountain. Gone is the girl who cried alone. Belle completes 7 jumps and sets a new world record. It's finally time for June to defend her title. When June and Rin first meet, it's by a massive full moon. While the rainbow shines in 7 parts, the moon shines alone. But importantly, the moon doesn't stay full. It waxes and wanes. Prism messengers can't stay on Earth. They come down to pass the sparkle. 6 years ago, June came down with that very mission. She was skating on the rainbow when she saw Hijiri in the snow. Reading his mind, she took on a form that resembled his late mother, mimicking a form of love she never had. Family. This is what gained Hijiri's trust. In one of her first major scenes, June reaches up for a rainbow. There's 2 ways to read this. 1, her longing for Hijiri's love since he's right there, but also her longing for the connections the girls share. Family. Friendship. Prism messengers lose their memories of each world, so they don't hold on to anything or anyone. They're left grasping at something they'll never truly hold. So June stayed on Earth. At first, She planned to give Hijiri the sparkle, but after his injury, chose to cultivate it herself, becoming the first Prism Queen to chain 4 jumps. At this point, June could have left, but this would have meant forgetting Hijiri. But pay attention, June can do a Prism Live, right? That means she got a mascot, and that only happens when you face your desires. So when did June get hers? It's time to bring up all the lore that we've been discussing. During the duo tournament, June tells Rin that only those who know love can radiate the true sparkle. And isn't that true? The show has been exploring love in all its forms: platonic, familial, and romantic. These connections are what make us human. Let's revisit that scene with June and the rainbow. Is it really just about Hijiri? I don't think so. June wants to be human. Sure, it might have started with him, but June fell in love with the world. She waited 5 years to even attempt going back. On that night, she broke off her prism feathers, severing her connection to Prism World. That's what broke the bridge that Rin was riding on. That's when she got Star. It's about more than Hijiri. June is rejecting eternal life as a Prism Messenger for a finite life as a human. By the current Prism Queen Cup, June is at peace with her mortality. She performs 7 jumps, knowing that it will kill her. Just like the rest, her jumps illustrate her experiences. Angel Kiss represents the love she gave to Hijiri. She said the angels come down on rainbows, just like Prism Messengers. Next, there's the Aurora Rising. This jump was explored in the first season, where it reflected the performer's heart. Watch the video for full context. Infinite Hug Eternal shows her love for the earth and humanity, with the final 3 jumps depicting June and Hijiri's relationship in full detail. So, Symphony of Love features June as an angel, aka Prism Messenger, holding a little boy. She is also surrounded by swans. The swans return for her 7th jump, Emperor's Dance. I feel the swans are tied to the duck story, but also June's wings. The characters all get wings, but June's somewhat resemble a black swan. Basically, in Swan Lake, the black swan transforms into the white swan in order to gain the prince's love, similar to how June took on the form of Hijiri's mother in order to gain his love. These swans might remind you of the swan in Naru's story, but I believe that swan is coming later. Amo June's 7th jump is Flame of Love, and here she sets herself ablaze and burns as bright as the sun. In the bright flame, Hijiri and his father see the late Maria, the woman whose face June stole. The sacrificial nature of love, and specifically maternal love, really ties this all together. Pretty Rhythm has always glorified motherhood and marriage, so it's fitting that June's final jump is the powerful and sacrificial love of a mother. June's greatest act of humanity is not just to live and die like a human, but to love like one, too, willing to sacrifice her body and life for the one she loves. This is the final thing that June needed to experience, the greatest act of love, which is sacrifice. I've always found it troubling that June is seen as dying for a man when, really, it's part of the show's greater commentary on what makes us human, the fact that we live, we love, and we die. While the show's outlook is quite conservative, and I understand why some people would feel uncomfortable with this reading, I do think it's an added layer to her character that we have to acknowledge. Following June's demise, Rin rushes backstage to save her. To keep June alive, Rin sacrifices her body and the mascots with it. This takes the last of the world's sparkle. Now, no one can do Prism shows, and it's Naru's turn to perform. The officials want to call it off, but Naru insists on performing. She knows she can't win, but that's okay. She gets on stage in a handmade outfit and does her best. Unfortunately, ranks don't work in this universe without prism magic. Naru falls over and over again, but keeps getting up. The crowd is worried, but Naru takes heart. She wants to be their hero. Somewhere out there, Rin is watching. Before she left, she said that the sparkle was within them, and with the bridge metaphor, it kinda makes sense. Rin might be gone, but Naru carries her in her heart, so maybe she carries some of the sparkle too. After a rough fall, Naru thinks back to Rin's words. The sparkle is right there. in the cheering audience, in her friends, in her family. If Naru's heart is open, then maybe the bridge can start from her end, all the way to Rin. Naru summons her guitar and does one long prism jump. The sparkle travels across Japan and restores all the rings, brings back the mascots, and even wakes June up. She gets a low score, but that's fine. Remember, Naru is the hero, but Belle is the winner. The final plot beat of Rainbow Live is Rin's departure. They've been teasing it for a while, but Rin has to go home. We don't want a repeat of the last situation. So the girls gather under the full moon to perform their final Prism Live. Rin performs, and the Rainbow Bridge to Prism World appears. Before she gets on, June offers Rin her body. After all, she's lost now. But just then, the Prism Goddess makes June an offer. Should she forfeit her memories and ability to skate, then June may live as a human. But won't she forget Hijiri? Well, yeah. Remember that duck story that Naru told Koji? It's basically the entire show's plot. The lonely gray duck was Amo June, severed from human connection by her alien nature. While the duck sinks in its tears, Amo June accepts her mortality, awaiting Hijiri's love as her body is torn apart. The peacock that flies overhead brings salvation, with our peacock being Rin and the 7 girls of the rainbow. There's been suffering, there's been salvation, and now there will be rebirth. June happily accepts the offer, choosing to become human. It's a sweet story about how love makes us human. Before Rin can leave, Naru starts crying. The two are practically sisters, and now Rin won't even keep her memory. Naru and Rin are perfect ideals of human and messenger. Naru exemplifies the open heart that makes loving so easy. She comes from an idyllic family and makes friends out of her enemies. Rin is the perfect messenger. She might be enjoying herself, but she's focused on the mission throughout. That's why she's willing to leave. And when Naru cries, Rin doesn't say a word. Instead, she places her hand on Naru's chest, the origin of the Rainbow Bridge. This bridge will live on Naru's end. She might be gone, but Naru will always keep her in her heart. The sparkle is with you. As long as Naru's heart is open, those connections will live on, beyond time, beyond death, and over the rainbow. Rainbow Live is one of my favorite anime, and I hope you can see why. I know we talked about a lot, but trust me, there's a lot I cut out. The final episode wraps up plot beats, and I won't spoil that for you, so please check it out if you'd like to see more. If you enjoyed this video, check out the rest of my channel and consider supporting me through Patreon. With that said, I will see you guys next time.